What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a horror movie from Netflix. That's right. It's called The Whole Truth. The Whole Truth. So yeah, lately I've been a pretty big fan of some Indonesian / Thai movies that have been coming out. We got movies like The Medium that were pretty fucking stellar. We also had movies like May the Devil Take You or Queen of Black Magic. I mean, there's been some pretty decent ones, and those are big ones that I really enjoy. So I was moderately interested in seeing what this Thai film would be like. It is Netflix, so I kind of tapered a little bit of my expectations because while Netflix has some good stuff sometimes, on the horror end it's not always the most stellar. I don't know if you feel me on that, but so The Whole Truth on Netflix just came out here yesterday or the day before, and it is a 2021 picture that is essentially about two siblings, a girl and a boy named Pim and Put, who are with their mother, living with her. Everything is pretty hunky-dory, regular life, and an accident or tragedy happens that puts their mom away from them, and while she is in the hospital, they have to go stay with their grandparents. Things start to get really odd, and a hole opens up in the middle of the living room of the grandparents' house, and they start seeing visions of some pretty supernatural things. And it becomes pretty evident that there's something else going on with these grandparents. Something sinister. So yeah. There's a lot going on there. There is a lot of different side stories that gotta all come together in one, which is actually not too bad. I personally was not too fond of this movie because it felt like it just dragged on. Like it was trying to drag out the point of the movie far too long. Far too much penance for the characters that did things poorly or badly. And what I mean by that is that while this movie is very well shot, the music's actually pretty decent for the most part, but it all just kind of feels like you've been there before, and it didn't really kind of get under my skin to kind of make me feel that sort of Indonesian or Thai like feeling that I've been getting from those movies lately. It's a movie that kind of feels like it's going for the mainstream in a US effort rather than its own. There is no specific Indonesian lore that I know of in this movie, but it is supernatural, and there are some things in it that are kind of cool, but I just at no point was really kind of scared by it. Like, I admire it for trying to do something a little different and kind of throwing me off with this hole in the wall that's like supernatural. It kind of reminded me of that movie where that guy was like fucking the hole in the wall. I forget, it was called Deep Dark or something like that. Where he literally is fucking a hole in the wall. I think I like that one a little bit more just because it's got like its own thing going on and it's really strange and disgusting. But I like the bizarre, super surreal type stuff. And while it had echoes of that in this movie, it just didn't really pull it off as much as I was hoping. But I think what's good in this movie is that it's shot well, it's acted fairly decently, and some of the side stories that are going on are pretty interesting, and they kind of keep the viewer aloof as to what is really happening at all. And there's some odd things that the grandparents do that kind of make you feel uneasy at times, like why is this happening, and these kids are going through this whole thing while there's troubles at school, and the grandparents are dealing with something, and the mom's in the hospital, but there's just a lot going on, and for me it just didn't really pay off by the end. It's hard for me to kind of judge this kind of film because there are things that it does right, but some of the things that it does wrong is just it doesn't at any point really take off. Like, I normally get this kind of vibe from movies that are like very vibey, but I didn't with this movie. It just kind of felt like like the story was more interesting than the scares, and that isn't always such a bad thing if you have a decent story, which this has a fairly decent idea that's going on, but it all becomes very apparent very quickly as to what is actually happening by the end of the movie. And then when it's like, hey, the movie's over, it pounds you on the head with like retribution and like all this other stuff that's going on, which, it's a choice. It's not something that I particularly enjoyed because it felt like it just dragged out the movie further and further. Like, I feel like this movie could have been a lot tighter. Like, an hour and a half could have been great, and they could have packed it in there with a little bit more of a punch. But yeah, it just didn't perform as well as I wanted it to story-wise, and it didn't really have the scares that I was kind of hoping for. Like, even in the supernatural moments, they just felt like they were lacking a little bit. Like, it didn't ever really feel like ghosts, so to speak. And I don't know, there's different ways that you can do like camera tricks. They do a couple of things that were okay, maybe average at best, but it just didn't fulfill my needs and what I'm looking for in, you know, something that would be compared to like The Medium, or, you know, May the Devil Take You, or Queen of Black Magic, which I really enjoyed and I was kind of hoping for. Those movies are actually kind of fucking terrifying, especially for people who, you know, are new to the genre. But yeah, this just felt kind of run of the mill a little bit. And, you know, it's not a bad choice for Netflix to pick up. It's not a bad watch. It's just a little long, and it kind of made me feel like, let's just get it over with. I don't want to score it too low though, even though I wasn't really fond of it and I probably will never watch it again. You know, I still think it's like a 6. You know, like it's a competently made film that just does not pull out anything new. Not a bad story, but for me, it's just not my particular taste. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy this movie? Had you heard of it? Are you looking forward to watching it? Did you see it pop up on Netflix? I'd love to hear what you guys think of this movie. But yeah, I got more coming to you this week. We got Antlers that we're going to be doing a review of, and I got a couple of actual physical movies that I'm going to be doing as well that I'm going to be tucking in this week. So I still am fighting with that sleep thing, so it's pretty crazy. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. But other than that, thank you so much for coming by, and as always, long live the Lord.